Welcome, Queen. So, when it comes to being confident, have you ever felt like being confident is something that people just are or they just aren't? If so, today's video is for you because I want to be sharing with you how to be confident. So, first things first, confidence is contextual. What am I saying here? I am simply saying, depending on the situation, depending on the issue, depending on where you are at that particular time in your life, your confidence is going to vary. And guess what? That's all right. That's actually pretty normal. I'll use myself for an example. If you all don't know, I do not like being on camera. And people who know me well, who know me really well, sometimes they will give me feedback because I'll ask them, so, did you see my video? What did you think about it? Are there areas where you think that I could improve, where I may have lost the audience? And they will tell me based on their opinion, based on knowing me, different things that they picked up throughout the course of my video and watching me. Why? Because confidence is contextual. Okay, so sometimes you can feel as though you are lacking confidence because you simply don't like doing something. And that is in your head because externally you are presenting in such a way that people wouldn't even pick up on the fact that you are not confident or that you don't fully embrace where you are and what you're doing. So think about that. Are there areas in your life where you are simply saying that you're not confident or that you are feeling you are not confident because you don't like doing that particular task? Because it's not the same. That's why I'm asking you that. So I don't like being on camera doing videos, but just because you don't like it doesn't mean that you are not showing up or not being confident as you are doing it. The same thing can be said for some people when they do presentations. Some people, they have a fear of public speaking. So they go to presentations and they have all of their notes fully written out. Other people talk from bullet points. Some people go off the cuff. For me, I have my bullet points off to the side. So sometimes you will see me just glance over. And what I'm doing is making sure I'm staying on track. Some people don't care about staying on track. So when you watch their YouTube content, sometimes they can just ramble. So again, truly think about what you are saying and what you are feeling during moments where you feel like you are not being confident, because awareness is key and critical. And if you were not with me last week when we discussed the Johari's window, I'm not going to go into that here, but feel free to go back and catch last week's episode where I discussed the Johari's window. Because the thing with being confident and having confidence stems a lot of times from awareness. Your level of awareness impacts how you show up and the way you show up, and if you even choose to show up. Just like I was telling you about myself and being on camera. So, when we have a greater level of awareness of where we are, it allows us to be able to identify and locate where we are. And so then, like I said, we can get feedback, as I do sometimes, or we can reach out to people who we know have strengths in those areas. Just imagine you had a problem and you were unaware of the problem. Let's just say a flat tire. Your tire caught a flat and you were unaware of it. You're going to approach that problem very different from somebody who knows that they have a flat tire. If you know you have a flat tire, you're not going to plan a trip to go 100 miles away. But if you don't know that and you got in the car and you're just driving on this tire that has a nail in it, that could potentially be a very dangerous issue because you don't know that you have a problem with the car, and now you've taken this car to go on this long road trip. Well, long, again, that's contextual as well, because some people may say 100 miles, that's not that far. It just depends on the person. For me, it's far because I also don't like driving, but that's another story for another day. So, secondly, be willing to embrace the unknown as you grow. Listen, I'll use myself again. Have you seen my first video? OMG. I was all up on the camera. And I got feedback on that video as well. And the first thing my best friend said is, it was good, but you were way too close to the camera. You need to bag up. So again, I took the feedback. And that's something that sometimes we can struggle with as adults, because we can often fear feedback because we don't want the feedback to seem critical, harsh, or negative. And so sometimes that can cause for us to need to reframe how we see feedback and how we see growth. Because again, I'll use myself. It's just easier to use myself versus pointing to other people. I went on a trip with a friend, and she was from Sweden. Her name was Johanna. And we went snowboarding. Well, Johanna was wonderful at snowboarding. Me, not so much. I had never been snowboarding in my life. So I got on the snowboard, and as you can imagine, I was slipping and sliding and falling all over the place. It was a mess. So what am I telling you here? I had to keep getting back up. And sometimes being confident is a matter of you being willing to keep getting back up. So a lot of the greats that we admire in sports, in entertainment, in whatever field or profession that they may have, whether it's being a doctor or a lawyer, whatever, they put in work that we did not see. So in private, there are a lot of things that they did, and that's why when we see them in public, they can show up as the greats that they are in our minds, in our opinions. Whether you love Michael Jordan or you love LeBron, whether you are a fan of gymnastics and you love Simone Biles, whatever the case may be, whoever that person is in that space for you, even in entertainment, who's your favorite music artist? Guess what? I'm telling you, they just don't get up and go on stage. Like Beyonce, a lot of people love her. But guess what? Have you seen the behind the scenes workouts that she does? She's very serious about her craft. Think about how you are showing up when it comes time to embrace challenges, to conquer growth. Because if you don't embrace it and you don't like the process of growth, that can hinder you from becoming confident. You got to get your reps up, get those shots in. And lastly, as it relates to being confident, community. Be intentional about getting in community with like-minded people. Not people that necessarily have the exact same goals as you, because if you do that, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you do that, sometimes it can lead to you wanting to silently compete with them. You can find yourself comparing yourself to them. And that's not the point of being in community. The point in being in community is to hold yourself accountable and to have like-minded people who are going in the direction you are going again. So you can get that feedback from somebody who is objective, but also on your side and willing to give you real feedback. Because sometimes people can surround themselves with yes men and yes women, and they're just saying, oh yeah, it was great. And it's like, no, it really wasn't all that great. It could use some improvement. And here's where. Think about who you are surrounding yourself with. Who are you talking to? Who are you communicating with? What are you talking about? Because sometimes we can get in places and spaces and want people to support us, and they don't. And sometimes it's because they don't get it. And sometimes it's because they like us where we are. And sometimes it's no fault of their own. It's nothing to be said that's bad about them. They just aren't where we are. Remember, if you have a vision for your life and know that there are things you want in your life, you must be willing to make the commitment to yourself. You owe it to you to show up for you. So think about those things, especially in your relationships romantically, not just professionally and personally, but especially in the romantic space. Know your values, know your priorities, because when you know your values and your priorities, that further assists you to have a solid foundation to build on and to work from. Because if you don't know your values and you don't know your priorities, people will assign values and priorities to you. So then you are not living from an authentic space. And it's hard to show up and be confident in your life when you are not doing and living your life on your own terms. You know, I'll use myself again as an example. Growing up, my mom always said, y'all going to college. She would tell it to me and my sister. And she was like, y'all going to college. Y'all going to get a bachelor's degree because I got an associate and y'all got to do better than me. Well, guess what? Times have shifted. There are people making hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are people who are wildly successful in their fields and they dropouts. Never even been to college. Some of them dropped out of high school. Now, I'm not saying that as a brag. It's wonderful to be educated. But again, whose dream are you living out? Are you living out your dream or someone else's? Because again, it is very hard to be successful in being confident in something and it's not something that is really in your heart that you really and truly desire to do. So again, those three things I share with you. Understand confidence is contextual. Be willing to embrace the unknown as you grow. And lastly, understand that your relationships and your priorities and values are fundamental to you showing up confident for your life as you live your life. And I'm going to leave you with two things for homework. Yes. So, number one, what are your values? What do you value? What are your priorities? Identify them. That's your first task of homework. The second thing, what are you doing that's causing you to worry, wonder, or wait for the approval of others? I'm going to say it again. What are you doing that is causing you to wait, worry, or wonder for the approval of others? Think about those two things, because once you are clear on those two things, then you can identify whether or not you are truly living from your priorities and from your values. And I want to leave you with this thought. Understand, while you may want to become confident overnight, your confidence level typically increases incrementally as you decide to take one bold action at a time. As always, I'm Coach Sam telling you that 24 hours doesn't seem long, but in 24 hours, you can change your life. So go ahead and do something life-changing now.